I'm sure you can hear the shouting. Tensions are high right now at what was meant to be such a peaceful protest, spreading love and support to the 2S LGBTQ plus community, to Next Benedict. People have been comparing it all day to the Super Bowl of bass fishing, and it really does feel like that. Folks have been out here for hours and hours lining up and waiting, and they just actually launched. They're taking off one by one. You can take a look to my left right now, see the dock filled. Within just hours, power lines were ripped down, entire roofs were swept off of buildings, cars were destroyed. Even this tornado siren was struck down while it was going off, and hundreds were left without power. To even access the other side of the park, you actually have to step down closer to the water amongst all of this broken cement to step back onto what is a completely unstable bridge to access the other side. One of Chief Kingdom's most iconic fans, known to most as Chiefsaholic, pleaded guilty to stealing over $130,000. After countless months of abuse, the women decided to come forward after a work trip where they went to Dallas for the grand opening of the Goat restaurant in Dallas, where yet another employee endured abuse. You can see the sheer strength of last night's storm was able to completely mangle a cinder block shed. The bill is actually written in such a way that it would criminalize family members or friends who even just send a link to that minor of an abortion clinic. The 1921 Tulsa race massacre took place on these very streets I'm walking on now in the historic Greenwood district in Tulsa. Now, decades later, descendants and advocates are still fighting for justice, and they're hoping to pull additional surveillance video to find out a little bit more. This is actually the first of its kind because it was a complete laboratory shutdown, rescuing more than 200 dogs and cats. They are still investigating at the scene, going in and out of the houses, speaking with witnesses and those involved, but we don't know at this time what exactly led up to the altercation, ultimately the death of this man. This sport is so unlike any other, with the way that you can actually really get up close and personal with the competitors right now. I mean, we ourselves are on a boat, so are other fans. Yeah. Massive crowd around us right now. I can only imagine the impact this has on the city of Tulsa. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh, it's awesome. Like you said, they're all...
Thank you so much. And speaking of feeding, I mean, a major recovery effort right now is focused on food, and I'm here joined by the founder and CEO of Mercy Chefs. Now, Gary LeBlanc, can you tell me a little about what's going on? I mean, people don't have fridges, microwaves, freezers, food, anything right now. Just got honored with the ranking of top 5, actually fourth in the nation for Oktoberfest. Nice. So what makes Tulsa's Oktoberfest stand out amongst the rest? Well, so you actually grew up here, and when you were speaking, you said that the grocery store was the heart of the neighborhood. So what is it like being a part of bringing it back?
I can't even begin to express the joy.
To break it all down for us, well, the information that is, unless McKenzie, you want to show us some moves.
Well, unfortunately, I don't know any breakdancing moves, but maybe I'll learn some this weekend when I head there tomorrow night, as tomorrow Kane's Ballroom will host the World Breaking Classic USA qualifier. One former employee says she received this message less than 2 hours before starting her shift. The general manager says golf suites will not be open on Tuesday morning because of a, quote, sewer issue. But just an hour later, she received this message informing employees Golf Suites Tulsa is permanently closed, and they are all being let go. She asked to remain anonymous for her protection.
It was honestly like I got punched in the gut. I was totally in shock.
Employees did not receive any warning or phone call, just one group message sent to dozens of employees.
I just don't understand why they have such a lack of compassion for the people who gave them so much.
I think it was very unprofessional, and I really don't appreciate it being a mom. This is still how we pay for our bills.
The closure comes after Golf Suites was reportedly evicted for breaching its lease agreement with the commercial property. The property is owned by the Muskogee Creek Nation and managed by the nation's subsidiary, One Fire Holdings Company. According to the Jenks Riverwalk, One Fire has tried to negotiate with Golf Suites on its tenancy since December of 2022. Though the company claims they didn't know they were being evicted on Tuesday, employees say otherwise.
The general manager's son was going around telling people that there was something big coming. Don't know what that he was implying, but we're assuming that this is what he was talking about. So we're thinking that he knew. And then that Monday night, although they're assuming that, or claiming that they didn't know that this was going to happen, they were making the closing crew do unusual duties that they wouldn't normally do.
On Tuesday, Golf Suites released a statement on its Facebook page. It read, "With a heavy heart, we're bidding farewell to our beloved Tulsa Golf Suites." In the statement, the company recognized its customers for their passion and support, and as a final farewell to their employees,
the managers do get a severance package, but all the rest of us get nothing. There's nobody helping us.
They completely shut down the app that we communicate with each other on, and our general manager, who got a promotion, was adamant that we never have his number and never contact him outside of work.
we reached out to Golf Suites for comment on the sudden closure, but have yet to receive a response back. From Jenks, Mackenzie, Richmond, News Channel 8. The gruesome discovery of 11 bodies took the world by storm in 1873. The cold-blooded, murderous family seemingly vanished into thin air.
It's been a cold case for 150 years.
But Miller purchased the land in 2020, hoping to unearth some answers.
We want to find out what the ground has been hiding for the last 150 years.
The Benders immigrated from Germany in 1870 to claim their 160 acres of land offered to settlers by the 1862 Homestead Act. The family of four built their 16 by 24-foot home along the Osage Mission Trail.
Well, this was like the interstate highway of the day. You didn't have roads.
The Benders utilized the back of the home as their living space and turned the front into a shop and inn for travelers of the trail. It appeared as the perfect pit stop to refuel. Travelers stopped to pick up supplies and continue on, or they could choose to stay the night and enjoy a warm meal. But unfortunately for some, that was their last meal. The events that took place inside that home would soon become local legend. Person after person was reported missing while traveling along the Osage Trail, but each case went cold. The last known traveler to fall victim to the Bender family was Dr. William York, but York wasn't like the other victims.
Most of their victims, we believe, were people that were out of the area, single people. Maybe they wouldn't be missed.
His name held much more weight.
A prominent doctor from southwest of Independence stopped by here and went missing. And his brother was a very prominent Kansas state senator.
When Dr. York didn't return home, an army of men set out to retrace his footsteps, stopping at every doorstep along the way.
The trail went cold near the Bender place, and the heat was turned up on the Benders because other people had gone missing here in this area too.
But as the town narrowed in on the Benders, the family planned their escape. Just over a week after Dr. York was reported missing, the Benders' property was found deserted. The Benders fled without leaving a trace.
Now, once the Benders fled, their house was searched by authorities and neighbors. When the authorities and other men walked into the cabin, they smelled this putrid stench, the smell of death.
Inside, they found 3 hammers, a knife, and a trap door leading from the house to a cellar. According to a report from the Kansas City Times, inside the trap door, quote, beneath in a pit 6 feet deep was a pool of blood, but no bodies. The search continued the following day with an army of men, shovels, and plows. About 100 yards from the home, buried in the apple orchard, at least 8 bodies were unearthed. Of them, Dr. York, who was identified by his own brother in nauseating conditions.
His head had been beaten in with the hammer. His throat was cut so deep it almost fell off.
Based on evidence collected at the scene, local authorities believe the Benders invited the victims to dinner and sat them with the back of their head against the cloth that separated the 2 rooms. While the victim ate what would be their last meal, one of the Benders would stand behind the cloth and strike the guest in the head with a hammer. When they fell to the ground, the Benders would then slit their throat before dropping them through the trap door into the cellar.
Then slit their throat so deep that they were almost Pez dispensers.
Since the Benders weren't around to confirm or deny the allegations, rumors spread across the nation. 150 years later, and the story isn't over.
We think there also could be other bodies out here that have been overlooked for 150 years.
After going untouched for over a century, Miller invited research students and professors from the University of Kansas to analyze the property, hoping their tools could reveal what the dirt has been hiding.
Obviously, there's nothing that's going to x-ray the ground and say, hey, there's a skeleton there. But they have stuff where they look for hot spots and ground anomalies, because when the ground is dug up and disturbed, even though you put it back, that disturbance remains forever. And they're looking for those anomalies of ground disturbances.
In July, they conducted a preliminary survey, walking the grounds, collecting surface level evidence.
We collected 679 pieces. The majority of this has been tableware, so pieces of plates, glassware, containers, and things like that. Some bone and some clothing. We found some buttons and stuff recently.
Since 1873, the property has had multiple owners. However, according to Miller, records show the Benders were the only ones to ever build and live on the property. So there's a high chance the anomalies could trace back to the Benders.
It is difficult to separate fact from fiction, and we have an opportunity through science and through reason to try to solve the mystery of what happened to the Benders.
Mackenzie Richmond, News Channel 8.